Hi there, my name is Kate Lemay, and I am an artist from New Hampshire who's been on a pretty epic quest for about 16 years now in discovering the meaning of life and art and, all things yummy and juicy. And I would love to share this with you. So if you have a cup of tea, this is a good cup of tea story to sit down and hear. It's by no means over, and I'm going to break it into a couple parts so that it's digestible in chunks. So the three parts will be my pre-free time project work, and that will lead into the free time project. So I'm going to tell that as one chunk. Then I'm going to talk about LA and the story of when I went to LA with the beginning of the free time project. And then the end will be post free time project and what I've been up to since then. So my journey, like I said, has been 16 years. And I mean, I've been an artist my whole life. I think anyone that's known me can attest to that. And it wasn't until approximately 1999, early 2000s, I think, where I started creating this style. And since then, this is the predominant style that I've painted, and it's not that I don't think I'll ever change. I don't know, but I'm still interested in it, and it still has my attention. So as long as I'm intrigued by it, I believe I will pursue this style. It's an abstract watercolor style, and if you are learning just about me now, then you can just Google Kate Lemay, and my website is katelemay.com. You can also find me on any social media channel at Kate Lemay, and yeah, there's just tons of my work everywhere, so you can look that up. So the way I stumbled into this stuff, I was formally trained at the University of New Hampshire as a still life realist painter, and then did pursue my master's in art education with a focus on traditional camp outdoor setting education at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia. But this was something that definitely came to me not through any normal channel that I would have expected. One day, I was living in a tiny cabin in the woods in New Jersey. I had a loft bed like the kind you have in college where there's, like 2x4s holding up a bed over a desk because there was no space in this little tiny house. And in that location, I was laying on a mattress, and I painted my first very small watercolor painting. And at that time, I'd only had one class on making watercolors, like making a wash and putting down shape. So I really had no training in this format. And I created a small image that was red and orange and yellow with some black outlines of what kind of to this day looks like cells to me. And the minute I made it, it felt like I had been kind of struck by some kind of electric current. Like my hair stood up on the edges of my arm, and I definitely, this is going to sound weird, but like I heard a voice. So people say that happens, and it happened to me in that situation. And it said, it was like this is it, like you've found this thing, like I will take you anywhere you want to go, like this, I am changing your life. I wish I could remember the exact phrasing. I had it just a minute ago, but it was very simple, and it was like 3 words. So but it was something around like, this is a big deal. So it started like that, where I was just making small abstract paintings in this little cabin in the woods in New Jersey and just storing them in a box. And one day, some folks saw them, and I was like, they're not really art. Don't look at them. That's just for me. They're my doodles. And they were like, I like them. Can I have one? And I was like, sure. So then I proceeded to give them away as gifts for a couple of years. And then I started selling them in tiny little craft fairs, like where you have tents, just like those pop-up tents. And that was really fun. Eventually opened a gallery, my own gallery, for 1 year, which was radically fun. And the painting started getting bigger. So in the year that I did that, I think it was 2004, it might have been 2005. I started making a painting a day for a year. So those were 9 by 12, so 9-inch by 12-inch paintings. And I made a single painting every single day. And I will say I did this while working full time and squeezing it into a life where I am a summer camp director. So you work a lot. So there's no extra time in your day. You know, you figure it out, and I just carried those things with me everywhere for a year, really pushing me into a place where I stopped apologizing for being a painter and stopped apologizing for squeezing painting into every free moment I had. So if I went to a bar or I went out to eat, my paintings came with me because I had to get it done. And if I wanted to hang out or you wanted me to hang out, I was painting. So that year it kind of broke me into my family and friends as an artist. Like I was like, I'm an artist, that's what I'm doing. And I became very comfortable calling myself an artist that year. I'd heard a phrase that said, you know, this guy was on NPR or something, and he said, well, if I heard this thing one day that if you write every day, you're a writer. And I was like, yeah, so I'll paint every day. I can be called a painter and it'll be okay. So I did that, and that's the year that I opened the gallery. And then my paintings got bigger. I started painting oils, all in the same style. Eventually, in a year later, I closed that down and moved to New Hampshire because I had gotten married and my family is from New Hampshire and I wanted to be near my mom and dad and my grandma and my sisters and brothers. So I came home and got a job at another YMCA camp as a director. And I have 2 beautiful children now, 4 and 7. So it's been an evolving journey with a lot less free time than I used to have. Free time meaning time I can spend doing art. And it was when I moved to New Hampshire prior to giving birth to my first son that I met or had the opportunity to show my work to a woman that was opening a wellness center in Belmont, New Hampshire. It's called Summit Health. And she purchased enough art to fill her whole wellness center. So that was my first really kind of larger scale commission set of pieces. And it was in that location that I met a woman who would have a significant impact in the direction of my life and my art. And her name was Kim Grace. And Kim and I have had the pleasure of running a group called Elements of Enlightenment together. So we gave each other a hug at the opening of the Summit Health, you know, like you do the opening of the building, so the open house. And when I gave her a hug, I felt like I had known her my whole life. Like I felt like I was giving somebody a hug I knew for a very long time. And she said, she called me later, or I called her. So I don't know how it all happened, but she was a good friend of my mom's. She had student taught, I think, under my mom. And then we sat at this little mill area in our town, near our town, and we were sitting at this bench under a tree, and she says, I think we're supposed to work together. And I was like, great, that sounds great to me. I'd love to work with you. And at this time I was just learning about Kim, but Kim has some extra sensory gifts. She has incredible, she's just extra heightened senses around kind of things that most of us don't have attuned to. So she has a knowing and can hear things that I think most of us cannot hear or see. And she said to me, you know, other than that we were going to work together, she said that I was going to create a set of chakra cards that would have a great impact on the world. And I was like, great, you know, because you have to understand at this point, I've been making these paintings for like almost 8 years or something. I mean, long enough that I felt very comfortable that this was important stuff. So I was like, awesome, what's a chakra? So, and you know, to bring it to, I am now like literally a chakra painter. That's what I am. So at that time I had no clue what she was talking about. But I was all in. I was like, yes, I believe you. I trust this is real. I'm in. This is great. So I have like a little goals board, and I wrote, chakra cards on the top of this board, which sat there for years. This, phrase. And each year I would try to make something that was chakra cards. So she even, every year we'd go, every time we talked, she would kind of just check in about the cards. How's it going? And I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it. But I didn't even know what they were. I didn't know what I was talking about. So she brought her friend over one day to this where I'm at now, my studio. And she laid her on a table and she proceeded to work on her chakras with my paintings. So this is energy systems that are located from the base of your spine to the tip of your head. So essentially your entire spinal column. Crown is on the top, root is on the bottom. There's 7 of them. And they are associated with colors, which are rainbow order. And so she picked 7 sets of paintings and laid them in stacks of 7 on the 7 different points. So there was 49 images total. And she meticulously she spent 6 to 8 hours doing this. Meticulously labeled what each thing was for. We left them in stacks. I bagged them up, and they were like precious. Like we just figured out the master code of the universe. And yet I was like, I just don't think these are the thing. Like I could kind of I didn't know anything about what I was talking about except that they didn't match. The sizes didn't match, and it just seemed it just wasn't it. So those sat in the bags for years, and eventually I created a set of just like rainbow colors for the purpose of practical things, like saying, if you want a red painting over your couch, this is what it might look at like. So it was sheer commercial ideas. Like I was doing at this point a lot more color, kind of monochromatic with pops of other colors. So mostly red, but with some blue and yellow, and these were just my little standard paintings, which again, you can see all over my website. But so I made these 7 paintings, and I was like, Kim, look what I made. Aren't they beautiful? And I laid them out, and she was like, oh, this is it. These are the chakra paintings. Look, you did it. You made the colors. And I didn't know the colors of the chakras at that time. So I was like, great. This is great. Yes, this is what I did. I've made the chakra paths. I'm so excited. And at this point, my paintings had names and things, but they didn't have the same intentions that my paintings have now. So, or symbolism. And so my friend Kim takes these paintings out to the West Coast. There was some kind of big fancy seminar with some fancy types that are, intuitive healers and really have great gifts for our planet. And the guy, she brings them the paintings and she says, how are these? Do they have gifts? Are they here to heal? Or I don't know exactly what she asked him, but it was something around the realm of, are these more than just paintings? And essentially the answer was no. These are just paintings. She's on the right track though. Tell her to keep going was the message. So, she comes back, she brings a painting. And to be truthful, I was definitely deflated. I was like, bummer. I haven't figured it out yet. So, this is where the Free Time Project begins. So this is the story. So that's all the pre-story before the Free Time Project. So I'm gonna stop here, and then if you're still interested, you can jump on to the next video.